Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. I haven't made a video in forever, and I apologize for that. But a lot of you guys were asking about Cedar's birth story, and I'm here to give it to you. I'm so excited to share with you the story. It was seriously my best labor and delivery ever. I've only had 3, but this was amazing, and I'm super excited to share with you the story, and I hope that you enjoy it. So let's just dive right in. So I want to give you a little bit of background before I actually went into labor. So at 39 weeks, I started having prodromal labor. It lasted hours. It was consistent contractions, but they were not intense, and I knew it wasn't real. But the fact that they kept coming for hours upon end made me think maybe I'm in early labor and I'm just gonna have a really long labor. And so I told my husband, yep, I'm 85% sure I'm in labor. And I called my photographer, but was like, we're not in labor yet. And I went to sleep that night and woke up to nothing. So that was a Friday night. Saturday, I kind of like went on with my day, had some contractions here and there, but nothing big. Saturday night, had prodromal labor again. And I was just like, okay, like let's see if this turns into anything. And went to bed and woke up in the morning with nothing. So I am like completely convinced this is going to be my life for the next who knows how long, maybe 3 weeks. And it's okay, I accept it. We go on with our day, we go to church, which is Sunday, Sunday before Thanksgiving, so sermon was on like being thankful, and I came home from church. We just enjoyed ourselves as a family. The girls took a nap and I went out and kayaked in our backyard pond and just really gave thanks and enjoyed my day and just relaxed, let go of all outcomes. That night I have prodromal labor again. So Robbie and I are having a conversation and I'm just like, dude, this like prodromal contractions are like so crappy. So I took some magnesium to kind of just help me relax and go to sleep. And while we were laying in bed, we were kind of having a conversation. Okay, when actual labor comes, what are we gonna do? And I said, I'm gonna give thanks for every wave. I'm gonna be thankful for every wave that is bringing this baby into the world. And I'm gonna know that every wave is doing something. It's not for nothing, it's actually doing something. So every wave is bringing the baby down. And we just prayed together and gave thanks, and I fell asleep. And so that was about 11:30 at night. So 1:38 in the morning, I wake up, look at the clock, 1:38, and I have to go to the bathroom and I'm having a contraction, and I just felt like needing to go to the bathroom was probably making it worse. So I run to the bathroom, but like 5 steps to get there, I didn't make it. And I wet my pants and I'm like so frustrated. I'm so frustrated. And I'm also thinking I don't want to be in labor yet because the week to come was just like a really crazy week for my husband, and just I had some things to look forward to. I wanted to get belly henna. So I wanted to make it to Wednesday. So it's Sunday night and I want to make it to Wednesday, and I'm like realizing I'm probably not gonna make it. So I was pretty frustrated. I was not ready mentally for this. And my husband could tell, and he jumped out of bed and he came to me and he's like, Alyssa, this is the perfect time for you to be in labor. Like, you were made to do this today. And I was just like, okay, you're right. And that just snapped me into it, and I was just like, all right, we're doing this. Like, I'm in labor. So I started calling up my birth team. It's probably around 2 in the morning, and call my midwife, and she answers, and I'm like, hey, I'm in labor, but I don't really feel like I need assistance yet, but I probably will soon. And she's like, okay, I'm on my way. And I'm like, okay, like, if you think so. And I'm kind of thinking like, I don't want her to be here and kind of be bored, or just like, you know, me not be as far along. But I decided, okay, fine, like she's coming, and like she's not gonna be here like now, so.
Yeah, and could you give me a mason jar with like mink shell water and vitamin C?
Yeah.
And sulfurzyme.
Like a labor aid with Nixure Red and water, sulfurzyme and ascorbic acid. And I just knew that would be really hydrating for me and just really healthy for me. So I already had that like written out how he needed to do it. And then he came in and I was like, okay, what do you want to diffuse? And I just wasn't feeling like mentally there yet. I was still kind of not really believing that I was in full labor, and I knew that I needed Valor because Valor is this essential oil blend that is made for courage and just strength, and that is exactly what I needed. And so he put that in and it smelled amazing, and I just felt like, okay, like we're doing this. And meanwhile, like while he's getting the birth tub ready, filling up with water and all that, I am feeling like I have to like empty my bowels. And so I'm like going in and out from the toilet back into our bedroom. And I just found a lot of relief pushing on the door frame. So I would stand in the door frame and like push on it. And on the other side of the frame, like me pushing on the wall would make the wall push on my back, right where I felt like I needed some counter pressure. So it would push on my tailbone, and it would just give me so much relief every time I would go through a contraction. Like that's where I stood. I'd push on that, and I would just get this relief from these waves. And in between contractions, I would just kind of like stand there and wait. And as Robbie was just like did things around me. And eventually he was done setting up. And I know he felt like he needed to like help me out. So at one point he's like, maybe we should time these.
Nice peace between contractions. Good timing him. But tell me when you start.
Thank you.
Okay.
Did you time it?
Mm-hmm.
I don't know that one.
That was a minute.
I have a contraction timer on my phone, not that it really makes a difference. Did you see how long in between you were?
55 seconds.
Well, that's really short.
So these things are long and they're coming fast, and I'm like, please don't tell me that information again. Like I do not need to know that. Like I'm gonna have another one of these in 40 seconds. Oh, I mean, so I was like, okay, like let's not look at that anymore. I'm also realizing that I am like shaking, and I was kind of constantly shaking since like I called my midwife, and that has never happened to me in the past until transition. So kind of in my head, I'm like, am I in transition? Like, seems kind of crazy to be in transition when I haven't really been laboring that long. But I'm thinking like these are transition symptoms, you know, and you know, just emptying your bowels, the shakes, kind of feeling like, I don't know if I can do this, are total like signs of transition. But I was just like, this isn't really like long enough for me to be here. So that's kind of where I'm at mentally. But every time I would have a contraction, I was totally like giving thanks, and I was like, thank you, Lord. And I just was believing that like each contraction was doing something. So I would say out loud, bring baby down. It's kind of all I could manage to get out. Very short sentence, but it was something I like had to tell myself. This is bringing baby down, and I needed to say it out loud so I could believe it. And Robbie would go over to my birth affirmations that I had hung up, and he would read off some scripture to me, and I would repeat it out loud back to him. So that like I also believed in that truth of the scripture, and that was so helpful to me. That really gave me this clear mind, mental focus, and all of these contractions, even though they were pretty intense, were so manageable that it was, like I said, it was kind of hard for me to believe how far along I was already.
So do not fear, for I am with you. Do not be dismayed, for I am your God. I will strengthen you and help you. I will uphold you with my righteous right hand.
Oh. I'm gonna sit, but I don't.
You're doing great. Breathe the baby.
So my midwife comes around 3 in the morning. So I woke up at 1:38, call him at 2. She gets here around 3, and she's listening to me go through a contraction. I'm standing in the doorway. Like right before she came, I started feeling a little bit like I was losing some energy and I needed to sit down. So I tried to sit down on my birth ball, and that pressure on my bottom really hurt, and it sent me into a contraction. And so I like literally sat down and sprang right back up and had a contraction. So I was like, okay, I'm not doing that again. And I'm like looking around, like, where can I find rest? Like, I don't want to go in bed. I can't sit on my birth ball, and I need to get off my feet. And I was emptying my bowels so much, I wasn't feeling like I was ready to get in the birth tub because I didn't want to get back out. And but while my midwife came and she heard me go through contraction, she's like, girl, you are wide open. Like, you can get into that tub anytime you want. And just her saying that, I was like, okay, I'll get into the tub. And I'm like, I'm gonna go to the bathroom one more time.
Oh.
We've got a liner right here.
Already perfect.
good?
Yeah.
Is it staying warm?
It's really
Oh.
So it sounds like she's really wide open. So I'm gonna just say, get in the tub whenever you like.
Yeah, I'm measuring in between like a minute to 2 minutes in contractions.
Yeah. They sound really back to back. Did your water break yet?
No.
When she sits down, she's in a lot of pain. Her in between
Yeah.
contractions, like, goes to like 30 seconds.
She doesn't have much time yet.
Yeah, well, it immediately goes to a contraction.
Jamie should be walking in behind me any minute.
Okay.
I was like, all right, let's get in the tub, and that water is so relieving. It's so relieving. And it's funny because every labor I've had, I kind of like don't want to get in that tub, but then once I do, I feel so much relief. So it's funny that like I have this like thing where I'm like, I don't want to do that, and then I do, and I'm like, oh my gosh, it's amazing. So I finally kind of get this relief and relaxation for a moment, and then I like soar into the strongest wave that I've had so far, and I'm like, whoa, like I just lose control.
Alyssa, is it okay if I try to give a listen to the baby? You don't have to move. Sounds good.
And at this point, where before I did not want to be touched by my husband, at this point I really needed him to give me counter pressure. So I request some counter pressure from him. My midwife has also like got her hands on my back, and it just felt really good. And I think she kind of was thinking, you know, I don't want to put pressure on her if she doesn't want to be touched, but I was like grabbing her and was like, no, put your hands on my back, because it just helped me so much. So I go through maybe 2 contractions, and the second one I like end it with some like grunts. Like my body is like, oh, time to push. And my midwife is like, I knew it. And I'm thinking, how does she know this? Like I did not think I was this far at this point. And she's like, why don't you reach in and check and see if you can feel anything. And so I'm like, okay, like I guess I'll check myself. And I check and I feel nothing. Like, most disappointing feeling ever is nothing. And I mean, I'm not really realizing I'm probably 100% dilated because I feel nothing. But I didn't feel the head or like the amniotic sac or anything. Like, I just felt nothing. So I'm like, I am pushing, but there's nothing there. And so I just kind of was like, oh no, like so upset. And my next contraction comes and I'm pushing again, like just automatically. Like, this is not me, like my body is doing it. And I can feel like him descend. And I'm like, oh my gosh, like this is happening. Like, I'm pushing his head out, he's crowning. And so I reach down and I'm supporting myself because my baby's head is coming out. And I'm just like, okay, here we are. And the head is out. And meanwhile, you know, Robbie's trying to get some pictures. This camera, unfortunately, was set up, but was not for nighttime, and he could not get it adjusted for nighttime. So I had my old camera also recording, and that is where all the footage comes from, so that's why it's so crappy. So I have his head out, and I'm just like, I want to have a video of this. So I tell him, I'm like, Robbie, get the camera, get it behind me. And so he does, and you're gonna see that awesomeness.
Super shaky.
Yeah, you're getting close.
You want some more drink?
I've been shaky this whole time.
What time did she wake up?
1:30.
1:30.
Oh, 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 no.
Yeah.
That was the water. Yeah, Jamie, you can turn off the
Find your rhythm.
Do you feel the baby now?
Yes.
Let me see what's happening. I think your baby's coming out.
Take your time.
Yep.
Not a rush. Nice and okay, good rhythm. Find your rhythm.
See if you can ground. Baby's coming. sorry. Okay, nice and easy. Nice and easy. Okay, the head is out, so on the next one, give a really big push and you'll have your baby.
Get behind me with the camera. Can you see?
Yeah.
Well, we can't see the head
Nope.
because you're over it, but
Yep.
that's okay, you'll be able to see.
Yeah, we'll see the baby come out.
Okay, ready? Ready? Okay.
Oh! Oh my gosh! Oh! It's a boy! Oh, look at him! Oh, mama! What a great job!
He's warming up. He's warming up, yeah.
Oh!
It was a little bit hot, so.
okay.
You got him perfect right above the water. That's good. Can you get your other leg out from under you? Yeah, just relax.
Oh man! Oh, what amazing!
Fast.
That was fast. He's a fast swimmer.
Made it.
What time is it?
Probably about 3:22.
Oh my! What? 2 hours? 2 hours of labor here?
Less.
Oh my gosh!
From 1:30 to 3:22. Yeah, good job.
It's a boy.
Oh my god. Yeah, I mean, it's gotta be.
It's gotta be.
Gotta be what? Yeah.
Oh, we knew it would be.
Yeah.
Oh, oh, oh my god, it's over.
Well, this part is. So now.
Placenta.
Oh,
Yep.
oh, you can just set it down.
You did that
And
expertly. That was awesome.
okay, go get my mom.
Yep.
I see a little bit of bleeding from the separation, but that's okay. We'll get you out on the bed in a minute. He looks really good. He came out hollering, didn't he?
There's a boy.
You are. barely got here in time.
I know. This was a total surprise. We had no ultrasound during this pregnancy, so I had no idea what I was having. And as I scooped him up, I could tell that I had a boy, and so I was just like, it's a boy. And just like, you know, that birth exhaustion came over me, and I'm just like, oh, you know, and just like still contractions are happening, so I was still kind of like, okay, ow. But it was really wonderful. Like, it just happened so quickly, and I had so much like control mentally over the whole thing that I never felt like it was out of control. I never felt hard. It just was doing it, and it was just wonderful. And yeah, so he came out and he was here, and we were overjoyed and elated, and we have 2 girls already, and now we have our son. And I just looked at his little chunky face, and I just was like, this is Cedar. Like, this is our son Cedar. And it just was really like this amazing moment. And so we hadn't come up with a name. Like, we just had not. We had Alyssa names, but they were like, none of them were just like sticking. And when I saw him, it was definitely like Cedar. And I look over at Robbie, and you know, he's kind of like, we were asked like, what is his name? And Robbie was like, I'm kind of thinking Cedar. And I'm like, me too. So that was his name, and we were like so overjoyed and excited. So he was born at 3:22 in the morning. I woke up to contraction at 1:38. So he was born literally an hour and 40 minutes after my active labor began. And it was so crazy fast, but so amazing and empowering, and literally could not ask for a better birth. My midwife made it in time, and we had no complications. It was just so wonderful and filled with love, and just really felt the presence of the Lord in it, and it was just awesome. So my photographer unfortunately did not make it, but she came the next day to do a Fresh 48 session with us, and I'll include some of those pictures because I just love them. But it was a little disappointed not to have birth photography, but I was so thankful that I had my cameras rolling and I could at least get on video, even though it wasn't the best quality. It's here, and I'm so excited that you guys get to see it as well. So that is Cedar's birth story. Hope you enjoyed it. If you want to see more day-to-day updates, you can follow me on Instagram at wonderfully.wells. I'll see you over there. Peace.